Let's welcome Alexa Rosario out of Fort Lauderdale, California. She's a Follow
Hi.
Up Boss user. Were you at the Follow Up Boss event?
No, I wasn't.
All
So
right.
I
Well,
would
we
have loved
missed
to
you.
make it, but I missed you guys as well. Had severe FOMO not being there.
They put a lot of content on while it was happening, so it makes sense that you had
Oh yeah.
FOMO.
Yes. Oh yes. They did a great job of that.
I love that. All right. Well, we love interviewing solo agents that are doing well, and you're one of them. How are
Yes.
you? The big question is this for me, because I'm seeing a lot of agents struggle during the last few months. We've actually seen agents jump out of the business or get a second job, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how have you transitioned into this slower market or maybe a little bit more difficult market?
Well, I think planning was a really important part of that. So, we've been talking about the shift is coming or winter is coming forever. And so I was really intentional earlier in the year and last year that there was going to be a shift and just making sure that I had the financial reserves for if and when that happened. And so, I'm not immune to the shift. I'm sure even the biggest agents are still feeling that shift. It's just a matter of preparing for it and really being intentional about even like, for example, using Pawns and Follow Up Boss. Even though I'm a solo agent, I still use them. Like, for example, there's about 11,000 contacts in my database, and I have about 3,000 of them that are just random old leads from open houses, random networking that I did, people that I haven't talked to in years, and really
Okay.
just using Mojo to dial through that list and generating more business that way. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
reaching out to every single person in the database in some way, shape, or form to make sure we're generating those conversations.
What does reaching out look like? Is it just calls? Do you text? Do you email? Do you go out on social media and find them? What does that look like? And how many hours are you putting into the day doing it?
Yeah, all of the above. So I am a solo, I call myself a highly leveraged solo agent. So I have a showing agent and I have a virtual assistant. And between the two of them, uh, we are able to be just really purposeful where the way that I kind of explain my role in the business is my job is to find the business, convert the business, and negotiate the contract. Everything else is done by either Kathy, our showing agent, or Jersey, who's our VA. And that ultimately makes it so that my only job is, like I said, negotiating those contracts, finding the business, and obviously going on consultation. So most of
Hmm,
my time is spent on that 20%, if you will.
I like that. I like that a lot. Can you expand on what the showing agent does? Like, what are their job duties? Do they just show property? Do they do the contract? Do they show up to the inspection? What does that look like?
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into it. Just a little background before I kind of answer that question. So whenever I start talking about systems, like I start geeking out on it. And one of the things I always like to tell people is the fact that uh, for my high D and high I personalities, a lot of times people get very like, oh, I'm not a systems person simply because of their disc profile. And in reality, I'm a very high D, extremely high I. Can show you my disc if you want. It's like off the
Nice.
charts D and I. And what I find is the reason I'm so systematic is twofold. The first one is because I hate repeating myself. And so systems make it so you don't have to repeat yourself. And
True. True.
second is I my dad was not my parents are both workaholics. My dad was an entrepreneur as well, and he was the person who did things old school, like everything, literally manila envelopes, like the whole shebang. And at 5 years ago he passed away of a heart attack. He was 51 and it was stress induced. And so that day I really decided I was going to be super intentional about my time, and I was
Mm,
going to make sure that I didn't have to do the minutia in my business so that I could protect my energy to focus on the relationships rather than the administrative stuff. And it's been a
going
long
back
journey
and
getting
forth.
here. Yes.
Does
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I like the approach to that, because a lot of us think we need to just do everything, and then we end up doing not enough of what matters for us, and that's
Yeah,
creating
totally.
the relationships, right? So with the showing agent, did you hire that person first or did you hire the VA first?
So I've had my VA now we're coming up on 3 years. And so she's been with me for a while now. My showing agent's been with me for a little over a year now. And so
Okay.
the VA it took me honestly like 6 months to figure out how to truly leverage her. And what I found was that the most important thing was making sure that I had a documented way of how I wanted things done, because there are things that come intuitively to me that will never come intuitively to her because of experience. And so after we got that really kind of systemized, then we then brought in the showing agent. And so she was a new agent to the company in a different office. And
Okay.
I went through, ran a personality assessment on her, and she was almost a perfect fit for a showing agent. And she has been an absolute rock star. So to answer your earlier question, she doesn't draft the contract or anything. My VA does that. So obviously, just disclaimer: make
Mm.
sure your state allows all of that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
no, that's good.
Um, so here in Florida, they're allowed to draft it. They're just not allowed to send it. So they're not allowed to actually deliver the contract. So she drafts everything. So in terms of process, which I'm going to show you in a second, once a client comes through our client funnels, the sun is being very strange right now on me. Once
Okay.
they once they go through the client funnels, they come into follow up boss, and so there's an automation that's triggered where Jersey,
Okay.
our VA, then goes and sets up their property search on the MLS. She makes sure that we have their pre-qualification, makes sure that we have all the stuff that we need to have a buyer that's ready. And then by the time that I actually do my consultation with them, because of the client funnels process that I'm going to show you, my
Mhm.
specifically my buyer consults are like 20 minutes or less. And then from there, all of that information gets shared through automations and follow-up boss to Kathy, our showing agent. And then whenever the buyer starts favoriting properties in the MLS, my
Mhm.
admin has the login access to that. So as they're favoriting, she's then scheduling and coordinating. Kathy goes out and shows the properties. And then once the buyer is ready to make an offer, I'm obviously checking in after showings, and depending on the buyer, some of them, like I know that I have to talk to like every day. Some of them are like, just when we find the one, that's when we'll talk. And
Mhm.
so once they're ready to make the offer, Kathy triggers the automations, which then Jersey goes and drafts the offer. Jersey then reaches out to the listing agent to let them know an offer is coming. I'm running
Okay.
the comparables, making sure that everything is good to go there, and then reaching out to the listing agent directly to have that conversation. I'm the one that submits the offer, and then once it goes under contract, it goes back to Jersey, and I go back to looking for more business. So we're super intentional about that process.
I love that. That is very intentional. And do you find that this process that you created has allowed you to enjoy real estate more?
Oh my God, yes. So I created this entire flow purely out of pain during the pandemic, when the insanity of, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where every buyer took, like, unless they were straight cash and willing to spend above appraised value, for like a lot of my first time buyers, it was taking 7, 10, 12 offers and we're in South Florida. So all of the Californians and New Yorkers were all moving here. We had, at the height of it, 1,000 people a day that were moving to South Florida. And so, in order to protect my energy and protect me from burning out, it was either like, I'm going to end up killing myself in this business, or I'm going to systemize it, be better about the flow of it. And so now I actually get to focus on the relationship rather than all the stuff that comes along with the transaction.
I like that. And tell me, do does your VA and your showing agent, they consistently go to follow up boss to keep track of everything? What does that look like?
If it doesn't happen in follow up boss, it didn't happen. So everything, my lenders in follow up boss as well. Like, if you're going to be involved in my business, you're going to be in follow up boss. Like, that's just how it's going to work. So it's been amazing. There's constantly like small things that, like for example, I have reevaluate, and this is getting a little off topic, but just to show you how important it is to really understand that it's a process and focusing on those 1% improvements. So like we have reevaluate where, whenever someone is likely to move, it gives them a score. We have a smart list in Follow Up Boss that shows us who's on that, on that sort of list. And so like one of my past clients popped up, and so I had lunch with him, and he's like, I am not, like, he just went through a whole $100,000 renovation on his house. He's like, I'm not moving, and he keeps popping up. So I had to create an automation where I created a tag that says disqualify. And so it'll remove him from that smart list, but in 90 days, it'll remove the tag. So if he still is thinking about moving, or if he's still showing up on reevaluate, he would then pop up higher. So,
Nice.
it is a process of constantly looking for those 1% improvements. But
Yeah.
ultimately it's incredible when the whole system works together and everybody is on the same page without having to go back and forth a million times.
That's very true. I love that you set it up that way. So what do you have your VA focusing on the most? Like, what does that look like on your end?
When we're super busy, she's spending most of her time trying to schedule showings, especially when you're on the higher end where, sometimes scheduling gets a little difficult. And when things get a little bit slower. So like right now, I have her going through, and actually I created custom fields and follow up for their city and the state of all of our referral partners. So whenever we have someone who wants to move somewhere else, we can just search it by the state or by the city in Follow Up Boss, and everyone's already categorized. So we have a flow for that as well, to make sure that process is streamlined as much as possible.
I like that. Do you have your virtual assistant following up with actual phone calls or just texts and emails with your database, or what does that look like? Because that's a question we get all the time. Are we using our VAs to do that or not?
So I literally had this conversation 20 minutes ago with my fiance about he's growing his team in a different business as well. And I'm an avid believer that the personal touch, that relationship, is the last thing that you outsource. So everything else, if it doesn't require my face, my voice, or my signature, someone else is doing it. If it requires one of those three things, including the conversations, I'm the one that does it. And so having everything else off of my plate where I'm just focused on the relationship is ultimately the goal.
All right. I like that a lot. Good job. Good job on this process, by the way. We're getting a lot of great comments here.
Thank you.
Kelly says that's a really interesting way to use it. So I love that. All right. So what are you looking forward to adding or changing up so you have a better flow for your business? Anything exciting that you say, hey, I'm going to add this?
So, well, if it's okay with you, I actually want to show you what we do for client funnel specifically, because that was kind of the focus of this. Can you see this little scribble that I did over here?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. Okay. So I'm very like a principle person, right? So like I have this philosophy that there's three types of websites. There's your IDX sites. So like I'm a YLocal user as well. I know that you are as well. And so those websites are great for those top of funnel leads. But as you know, as I'm sure a lot of people watching this know, it takes a long time in a lot of cases, and a lot of automation, a lot of systems to nurture those people into an actual transaction. And so that's kind of the first one. And it takes, like I said, lots of systems, in a lot of cases, a lot of money. Second type of website is your pretty billboard. It's a digital billboard. It's for super gorgeous. A lot of the higher end luxury agents have these gorgeous websites. The challenge with them is that the only call to action is just a contact us button. And that is not moving into where technology and websites are becoming way more interactive. That does not do the job. So even though they're beautiful, doesn't actually lead to conversions. So through this whole process of my pain during the pandemic, I came up with this concept of client funnels where I'll screen share in just a second each of the pages. I realized that there were three things that clients needed to know before they were willing to hire you as their agent. The first one was, can I trust you? And so that's where ultimately that consult page came in, which I'm going to screen share in a second. The second one is, do you care about me? And do you care about what's important to me? And that's where the intake forms came in. And then the last one is, can you help me? Right? Like, okay, so I trust you. Like you seem like a good person. Okay, I know that you care about me, but are you actually an expert? And so that's where our workshop comes in. So by the time that I do my consultation in this for buyers, the only difference for sellers in this is instead of a workshop, it's actually just like my digital listing presentation. And so by the time we actually sit down together, there's no like me sitting there talking about myself. They've already established that they trust me. They know that I care about them. They know that I'm the expert. And now it's just a matter of, when do you want to get started? You know, like, do you have any specific questions about your particular situation? And then in a lot of cases, if it's a question I start getting a lot, I'll go back and update the workshop or update the listing presentation. So those consults keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter because most of their questions are answered. And now it's a matter of putting a face and a voice together and going, okay, like, let's do this. And so that has streamlined so much. So let me go ahead and switch on over to, I'll kind of just take you through like the whole kind of process. So this is our buyer page. And so again, it's very much about establishing trust. So seeing like the social proof and all of kind of the steps here, past clients, and then having our reviews here. They don't have to go looking for all of this. It's just super easy, super accessible. And then so once they actually schedule the consult, I'm a big fan of having them book the consult before getting their intake form, because it gives them a hard deadline to actually get that submitted. So now they know, hey, I need to get this done before before we actually meet. So it puts them into kind of hustle mode. So this is the first page. Once they schedule the consult, which is done through Calendly, it automatically redirects to our intake forms. And so again, buyer, seller, same thing. What I love about these intake forms is the fact that it saves me way back when I started this, saved me like 30 minutes during our consultations of just asking all these questions. On the seller side, in almost every single case, everything that's needed to upload the listing to the MLS for my VA to do is in the intake form. So there's none of the back and forth for me and the seller. It's all there in the intake form. So this takes them through kind of contact information, their address, their lifestyle, what's important to them, when they're available to see properties, how, if it's their first purchase, going into their finances, they can upload their pre-qualification here, and the property details that are important to them. And I find that a lot of agents get very weird about doing this because they think that they're going to get pushback. But if you think about when you go to the doctor's office, you do this all the time. In most professions that we deal with, right, they have some kind of intake form. And so this feels like a very natural process. And the way I explain it to them is it's kind of like when you go to the doctor, except way more fun because it's for the house you want to buy. And that usually gets a chuckle out of them. And so they're all excited to fill this out. Once this comes back in, like I said, Jersey then goes and sets up their property search. And then once they submit that, it takes them to this page, which is the buyer negotiation workshop, and teaches them everything about the entire process. So now, like I said, we went through, can I trust you? So yes, because you see all the social proof here. Do you care about me? Yes, because I asked way more questions than any other agent has asked you so far. And are you an expert? Yes, because now you've seen me on TV and have watched this workshop at your own convenience, are able to rewind, go back, however you need to do it, so that when we meet, like I said, it's a very easy process. So on the back end, you can stop me at any time if I'm talking too fast.
No, it's good. I just have a couple of questions there. The previous site, the one that we were seeing with questionnaire, is that built on WordPress? Where is that built? And did you build that?
Yes, I did build it. One of the things that, as I was going through this process, a lot of agents started asking how I was doing this. And so we do have a templated version of this. I'm not sure if I'm allalled to share that here. So I mean,
yeah, share right now, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can check it out at alexarosario.com/systems1. We actually have a Black Friday sale, so I was very excited to do it today of all days with this interview for you. And so it gives you the entire website, all the slides for the buyer negotiation workshop, the email follow-up sequences, everything that you need to kind of run this effectively. And
so it's alexarosario.com /
Systems One. I'll put it in the chat.
Systems One. Okay, that way I can put it on there for you.
Yeah, Systems Two, by the way, is all about showing agents and virtual assistants for all the questions that you were asking me. So,
Nice.
If that helps.
Greg says pushback was exactly what I was thinking. Do people typically answer most of the questions?
They answer every single one. The only question that some people struggle with is the actual move-in date. So there's a question in there that says, ideally, when do you want to be getting the keys to your new property? And so generally that one, some people struggle with because number one, they don't know how long it takes. And if they're renting, that seems to be one of the things that they're not sure exactly timing wise what that looks like. And that's one of the things we talk about during our consult.
Nice. I like that. And I just saw the link, the Black Friday one, Systems One. Got it. Audrey says, and you do know Audrey, she says, Alexa helped me make an extra 100K this year. Easy. That's so good.
Yeah, we've had a couple of hundred agents go through it. They love it. It's been really cool to see how other agents have adapted our site into their own business, and to be able to see people do it at a completely different level than I have. So if you go to that Systems One page, there's actually video previews of some of their sites. It's really cool to see how different every site looks. Even though we give a template, they customize because it's built on WordPress. So for those of you that are super tech savvy, you go and customize to your delight. And some people have hired others, and it's been awesome. So
that's so cool. I like that. And there's a question by Ellie. Ellie says, what has successfully worked for you when nurturing clients?
The relationship, like being, I don't remember who said it, but there was somebody, and I always like to give credit to where I hear things. So I literally can't remember. They said, be present, be a friend, and be an expert. And I try to remember that, especially again, given the high D in my personality, is just being there as much as possible, and always in every follow-up, making sure that you're adding value. So using the smart list, I have Elena Keys set up. She's amazing. And so we've tweaked and grown from that, and it's been awesome, but clearing those smart lists every day. So, and then following up with every promise that you say, and using email templates and text templates as much as possible. So we have like our marketing bundles that for like first-time buyers who are asking about their finances, which is most of them, we put together a guide that's 34 pages that walks them through everything that they could possibly want to know about credit, debt to income ratios, the different types of loans, and going into massive detail. And so there's a tag that I add in Follow Up Boss that says, send money playbook, and it runs the whole automation to stay top of mind with them. So we're able to get really, really specific on exactly giving them the value that they need. And it makes me look like a superhero when it's just, we just have really good automations.
I love that. And what do you give for birthday gifts or holiday gifts? Anything specific? You go somewhere to get those?
Yeah, Client Giant is my best friend when it comes to client gifting. So the home anniversary, birthdays, quarterly gifts. My rule though in Client Giant is not every past client gets put on it. You have to send me 3 referrals in a year in order to be on Client Giant. So we have, by the way, we have an automation and a flow for our referral process as well. So that's been, honestly, the reality of it is Follow Up Boss is so powerful that there's so much that you can do with it. And if you just geek out a little bit on it, I mean, you know better than anyone. It's limitless.
I love that. All right. So everyone jump on that website. I'll put it up again. It is, which one do you prefer? Does it matter? Because there's 2 here.
So the Black Friday one
has,
yeah. So the Black Friday link there's 3 different offers on there. All of them are on the Black Friday sale. If you're watching this after Black Fridays or Cyber Monday, then you would just go to Systems One.
All right. I like this. So I just put both of them there in the link. And we've got a couple of minutes left. I know I missed some questions, so I'm going through the questions. Good. All right. So you're doing pretty awesome stuff here. Where does most of your business come from? Is it from referrals, your sphere, the people that are close to you? Do you add anything else on top of that? Like online leads? or events or anything like that?
So, like I said, I do use YLOPO. What I find my highest return on it is the actual retargeting of my own database. So even though I do
Mhm.
have a small budget that goes towards new lead gen, like I said, I have a pretty substantial database on myself. And so that has been, the retargeting has been awesome. In terms of actual lead sources, it's been my database, referrals, agent referrals, and specifically 40% of my business last year came from strategic alliances. So financial advisors, CPAs, divorce attorneys, estate planning attorneys, pretty much anyone that touches money is a referral partner for me. And so just being super intentional about those relationships. And I mean, getting those 3, 4, 5, 6 referrals every single year from that type of person, and they get to know kind of the type of clients that you like, becomes easy money.
I love that. And then somebody asked a really funny and good question. Wahid, good question. Where did she learn all of this info on, and how did she progress into this steroid mode?
I don't know if steroid mode refers to me talking really fast or steroid
No,
mode.
no, no. It's just like all the cool
Mode.
stuff you've created. That's what it means.
So a lot of the sales funnel kind of philosophy, I geeked out on Russell Brunson. He has a trilogy of books that a lot, like everything that I could have ever wanted to know about online marketing came from Russell Brunson. And then over time, really just those 1% improvements, like, you know, that compound effect is so powerful. So you're like, oh, I wonder what happened if I tried this, and let me try this, and how about this? And you know, 3, 4, 5 years later, you just start to build this machine where now, in a lot of cases, I find that I can actually handle more bandwidth than some teams because of how I built my business. And I can step away from my business if I need to, and it not all fall apart, because my business is not reliant on me, it's reliant on the systems that I've built. So I hope that answers that question.
That does. Do you also use the transaction coordinator or no?
I used to. We've since brought that in house, so now we use Open to Close, which is awesome. My dream for Follow Up Boss and Open to Close is for the deals automations to just be way more kind of automated. And you asked like what earlier. You asked what are we kind of looking forward to? Appointment outcome triggers and custom field triggers. So you change the outcome of an appointment and it runs the automation. That would be like Santa coming to my house tomorrow because it's, you know, we're early for Christmas. That would be like the best thing ever. That is what I'm most excited about. I know it's on the roadmap. I don't know what the timing is on that, but if somebody wants to make my day, I'm all about, you know, receiving that.
I love that. All right. I love it. Great interview, Alexa. I learned a lot. I'm taking a look at the sites here. And everyone, any questions you have, how do we get a hold of you, Alexa, outside of this webinar?
So you can go to my site, alexarosario.com. If you go to /consult, you can book a call on my calendar. I'm on Instagram a lot, so it's Alexa Rosario _. And so come hang out with me there. And I also have a Facebook group that focuses on business systems for realtors. If you guys want to join that, again, I'll leave that up to Tristan if I'm allowed to share. I want to be respectful.
Put everything on here. Everything on here. We need to find you everywhere.
It's facebook.com/groups/biz systems, like BIZ. So I'll put that in the chat right now. And I hope that you guys will join me. While you're waiting on that, someone did just ask about clients searching on home sites. So going back to my original philosophy of the 3 different types of websites, the reason we didn't include traditional IDX on the sites is because most agents at this point have access to some kind of IDX feed that they prefer. So whether it's their one home site from the MLS or YLOPO, their broker focused kind of IDX feed, you can link it. So if you look at my site at alexarosario.com, it says search properties and it links directly to my YLOPO search site. So I don't have it built into my site and I've never missed it.
Oh, easy. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Alexa, thank you so much. I'm going to have to rewatch this and grab some of the links. So,
well, hopefully maybe in slower motion. So
that was good.
This is
are
awesome.
you on TikTok? We had one question. Are you on TikTok?
not really. Like, every once in a blue I'll go on, but I mean, that has not been my main focus.
Yeah. All right. Cool. We'll see you later on TikTok. Maybe next year.
Sounds good. Yeah. Sooner or later,
Thanks,
I'll
man.
get there. Just, take my time. Have a great one, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.